Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Behind the Beat. My name is Chris Langen, and today I'm going to show you guys how to play your very first drum beat. Now, if you've been a fan of my channel and have seen some of the other videos that I have on here, you've probably noticed that most of the stuff is intermediate to advanced, maybe some beginner stuff, but it dawned on me that I really don't have anything for an absolute beginner, someone who's never played a beat before. So I decided today to make a video for you guys to get you playing your first beat. All right? So let's get right into it. Let's first talk about a couple things that are very important. Let's say, you just bought your first drum kit. You have it set up, but you're not quite sure on how things are supposed to be placed. Well, the first thing you want to look at, all right, is you have your bass drum and your pedal attached to it, okay? You want to check the height of your throne, all right? Hopefully you have a throne that's adjustable up and down. What you want to look for is when you're sitting on your throne, you want your thigh to be going at a slight angle downwards toward the pedal, okay? You never want your knee to be equal with your hip or above your hip. In that case, you would be sitting too low, okay? So you want to put yourself in a position where you're sitting at, your thighs are at a little bit of a downward angle, okay? Now, you should be able to reach the pedal. I'm not saying that sit so high up that you are barely touching the pedal. You want to be able to press down on the pedal with the ball of your foot, okay? All right, so now that you've got yourself sitting comfortably, the next thing you want to check would be your snare drum, okay? You want that in between your legs, right in front of you, and a good way to check to see the height would be to take a drumstick and check with your belt line. If your stick can touch the rim of the snare drum while you have it held at your belt line, then that's probably a good spot to start. Now, over time, you might find it to be more comfortable higher up or lower down, but just to get started, try to get the rim of the snare right around where your belt line is, okay? Now, as far as the angle, we can tilt the angle of our snare drum either forwards or towards us. So that's another preference thing. I like to say, as long as you're hitting the center of the snare drum comfortably and it's not all rim, if you're able to hit the center of the snare drum comfortably, then that's probably a good angle, okay? You're going to find out later on that you might want to incorporate a rim shot into your stroke, which is basically when we hit the rim. You can see my stick is really frayed right here. That's from hitting rim shots, okay? You're hitting the rim and the head of the drum at the same time. It just gives it a more powerful type sound. Okay, so now that you've got your snare drum set up, next thing you want to look at is your hi-hat. All right, so put your right foot on your bass drum pedal. Now you want your hi-hat pedal to be right around the same area so that your legs are both sitting comfortably. You don't want to be reaching out to try to press down the hi-hat pedal, and you don't want it real tight into you, okay? You kind of want it just so that you could sit, like if you were just going to sit down on the stool without drums around you and plant your feet on the ground, kind of the same way. All right? So get your pedal kind of organized where it's comfortable. And as far as the cymbals themselves, you can adjust the height. You can bring them up or down. I say for you guys, find a comfortable spot where you're not going to be getting in your own way. And what I mean by that is, since we're going to be playing the hi-hats with our right hand, we don't want them so low that we're hitting our left hand when we play, okay? So bring them up a tad bit You still want to be able to play on top of the cymbals, okay? You don't really want to bring them up too high because then you'll be hitting them kind of sideways. And number one, it doesn't make for a very good sound. Number two, you'll be going through sticks like crazy because you'll just be chopping at them from hitting the sides of the cymbals. All right? You do want to be able to play this hi-hat with the shoulder, which is this part, to get different accents and stuff. So I'm not saying don't ever hit the side of the cymbal, but be in a position that you can play the top of it or the side of it comfortably. And again, like I said, you don't want the cymbals to be too far away where you have to reach, and you also don't want them all up in your face. So a nice, comfortable spot where you can easily use both hands, not getting in your way. All right? Now, depending on what kind of kit you have, this is a 4-piece. Snare, rack tom-tom, floor tom-tom, and a bass drum. For me, I like having a 4-piece setup because it allows me to put my ride cymbal comfortably for me right here. If you have a 5-piece setup, that means you have 2 tom-toms up top here. You probably have your ride position somewhere over here where my crash is. All right? It's up to you. There's no right or wrong way. But as far as your tom-toms, you want to be able to comfortably go from your snare and up, okay? How you angle the drum is completely up to you. I know some drummers that like their tom-tom pretty flat, almost like they're going to another snare drum right in front of the existing snare drum. I'm not a big fan of that. I kind of like mine tilted towards me a little bit. You can also adjust the height on how high the drum comes up. My suggestion would be to at least get it high enough that the bottom of the tom-tom is not rubbing up against your bass drum, because you don't want it to dig into that and leave any marks on your bass drum. These things are expensive. You want to try to keep them in nice shape. Your floor tom, which is this guy, should be right on the right side of your right foot. You should be able to comfortably come from your snare right over to your floor tom without having to reach or without having it crammed in. So you should be able to pick your sticks up from the side and just have them right there. Cymbal placement is kind of up to every drummer. That is something I really don't want to get into because you're going to find that you want to place your cymbals in a totally different way than I would place mine. Generally, though, our crashes, I have one to my left, one to my right. I have also one here to my far right. My ride, since I have a 4-piece, is right here where the second tom normally would be on a 5-piece kit. And I have a splash cymbal right here that I can easily access. Your cymbals will be something that you kind of develop a liking towards. So play around. Don't be afraid to move things around. One thing you want to try to do, though, as far as your crash cymbals and stuff, you can tilt them towards you or away from you. I'm not saying that playing a flat cymbal is bad, but be careful the way you strike it, okay? You don't want to strike through the cymbal, all right? Because you're going to end up cracking them. These things are expensive, too. So my advice would be to kind of swipe the cymbal as you hit it. All right, maybe angle it just a little bit towards you. All right, well, enough about setting up. That's something you can do on your free time and get comfortable with. Those are just a couple tips, I would say, to help you get started. Now, for your first beat, we are going to be playing the bass drum with our right foot. Okay, again, you want to play with the ball of your foot. It is okay to play flat-footed, which by that I mean that your foot rests entirely on the pedal. I would suggest, though, to bring your heel up a little bit and play with the ball of your foot. Okay? When you're striking the bass drum, make sure you leave your toes on the pedal. Okay, I have a couple students that I'm trying to break their habit. They hit the bass drum and then take their foot off the pedal. Okay? You don't want to do that. You want this pedal to become an extension of your leg. So keep your toes on it. As far as your hi-hats, you just want to place your foot on the pedal and keep the hats closed for right now. All right? Now, your sticks. You're going to use, if you're right-handed, you're probably going to want to use your right hand to play the hi-hats. And your left hand will be playing the snare drum. So your right hand goes over top of your left. So something like this. Now, I know it's going to be a mirrored image in this video, but you could see basically how I'm playing and how I'm set up. Okay? Now, let's get into your first beat. We have 4 counts, okay? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for each count, we're going to designate an arm and a leg to do something, all right? So for count 1, what we want to do is play the bass drum and the hi-hat simultaneously, okay? So 1. 1. So start with that. Make sure you're hitting them simultaneously. You don't want them to flam. You want them to hit at the same time. Okay? So that's beat 1. Now beat 2 is going to be your hi-hat and your snare drum simultaneously. Okay? Now, for beats 3 and 4, all you're going to do is repeat beats 1 and 2. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Start off slow. Really pay attention to making sure that you're hitting your bass drum and your hi-hat together, and also your snare drum and your hi-hat together. And try to space them evenly. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Once you get the hang of that, you can increase the speed a little bit. Okay? If you're having trouble, one of the things I like to tell my students is think of it this way. Your hi-hat is playing on all 4 of those beats, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So for beat 1, think of it this way. Your bass drum is teaming up with your hi-hat for beat 1. Okay? These 2 are on a team. For beat 2, your snare drum is teaming up with your hi-hat. So those 2 are on a team. And you're just repeating that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay? However, we are using 4 beats, but beats 3 and 4 are basically just 1 and 2 repeated. All right? So stick with that for a little while. Try that out. And then, feel free if you have a ride cymbal to try to move your right hand over and do the same thing on the ride now. Okay. One more thing that you can do to kind of spice up this brand new beat. Every, say, 4 times that you go through this phrase, hit your crash cymbal on beat 1 instead of the hi-hat. So something like this. Actually, let me start over. Like I said, let's go with 4, okay? So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay? All right, guys, practice that up. I promise I will make some more videos for the beginners out there. The next beat we'll work on will most likely be an 8th note rock beat. All right? So keep up the good work. The struggle is real, I know, but I promise if you practice and put some time into it, you'll get this no problem. Make sure to subscribe. Check out the rest of the videos on the channel. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, chrislangendrummer.com. And until next time, we'll see you guys at the next lesson.